Right here.
Well, first of all, thanks for coming to our small little town in the middle of nowhere.
Thanks for having us.
People tend to forget about us, but I once saw you say that the Midwest needs to be part of the solution to climate change versus where most people feel like they're just under attack, as people are saying you're polluting.
Right.
And you moved on to say that you want to spur or encourage new innovations that are specific to the Midwest, best example, farming.
Right.
How would you more specifically go about doing that as far as policy or
Great.
et cetera?
Yeah, thanks for raising that. Because again, I really believe so much of the answer has to come from this part of the country, our part of the country. First of all, if we're going to do a carbon tax, which I think is something we ought to do, we shouldn't just take that money out of the economy. We should actually pay it right back out to the American people. And we should distribute it in a way that makes communities like ours better off, a progressive distribution. That's one thing that I think would make a difference. A second thing we ought to think about is just step back and take a hard look at what we decide is worth subsidizing in things like the Farm Bill. So how do we support farmers? And if we can, as J.D. Scholten puts it, take money borrowed from China to pay farmers in order to not sell to China, then we should be able to route money to people in agriculture to use more sustainable techniques, even if otherwise there would be a cost difference that would make it unaffordable. Because folks are getting squeezed, right? It's not like anybody wants to do anything in anything but the most sustainable way. It's that you literally can't afford to do it otherwise when you're getting squeezed on all ends, from suppliers to buyers. Another thing that I'm very excited about is soil management. Now, we haven't figured this all out yet, but science tells us that the capacity of soil to actually hold carbon in, to take it out of the atmosphere, is equal or greater than the amount of carbon that the whole global transportation sector puts in. Now, that's true scientifically, but it's not yet true technologically. In other words, we haven't actually figured out how to do it. We just know that physics says it can happen. So, we ought to direct federal research dollars into figuring out how to do it and reward farmers who are figuring out on the front lines what it actually looks like to put that in practice. That's another example of how we could get this done. We've got to unlock the potential of local communities to help solve these problems. Because if it works here, it could work around the world. And how proud we could be of having the American Midwest serve up something that farmers from Australia to India could use to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make the climate sustainable so that future farmers don't have to worry about disruption and the kind of extreme weather we're seeing. Those are the kinds of things I like.